Hey YouTube, my name is Marita and welcome to the Nurse Lounge. In this edition, we are going to talk about challenges that I have endured during my nursing career. So these are things in which I may have thought would be different prior to becoming a nurse, and they have come to find out while being a nurse, the reality, or just different things that I've actually endured during my nursing career. So to put things in perspective, I graduated from nursing school in 2004. I have been a nurse for 14 and a half years, and I am an OB/GYN nurse in terms of that's what my specialty is. So that's my background. So now we'll move forward by talking about the challenges that I've endured. And these challenges are not all inclusive. So I've endured much more than what's on this list. However, to keep it relatively short, I just limited it to the first 10 that I could come up with, but I could come up with many more if need be. With that being said, these challenges that I've endured does not mean that you as a new nurse or a future nurse will go through these things. But some of them, more than likely, yes, you will go through. Some of them probably not. But these are my experiences as a registered nurse in my journey as a registered nurse. So I have them written down just to make sure I didn't forget anything. So you will see me look down from time to time just to kind of remind myself and stay on track regarding what these challenges were. All right, so I'm going to jump right on in. And number one was looking young. I look younger than I am. So I graduated from nursing school at the age of 26. I already had a degree prior to that, and I've already had 2 children at that point in time. So I was 26 when I started nursing school, and I am 40 now. I'll be 41 in April. So when you look young, people automatically think that you are not knowledgeable, and they think that you are incompetent half the time and like you just graduated yesterday. And literally 14 and a half years in, I still get, oh, well, how long have you been out of school? Or when I tell people I'm in school now, they'll say, oh, okay, are you in nursing school? And I'm like, no, I've been a nurse for 14 years. I'm not in nursing school. I'm in graduate school to pursue my doctoral degree, but I am not in nursing school. I'm not a pre-nursing student. They think I'm doing clinicals when I go to work. And again, I've been a nurse for 14 and a half years, but because of the way I look, they think I'm younger than I am. So, that's a challenge that I've kind of had to come with not just with nursing, but just in life in general. When I tell people I have 4 children, they're like, what, 4 kids? Yes, I have 4 children, and 2 of them are adults, believe it or not. But again, I'm 40 years old. So with that being said, that just comes with the territory where people think I'm young, and it is what it is. So number 2 is being a Black woman in nursing. So when it comes to being a minority in nursing, it's very, very difficult. I didn't think anything of it when I first became a nurse or when I first was in nursing school, because I didn't have any issues in nursing school. But when it came to being a nurse, my very first job, my very first year as a nurse, that's when racism reared its ugly head. And I had a patient who she told me up front to my face that I don't do Black nurses. I don't want a Black nurse. I don't like Black people. This, that, and the other. And I was troubled by that because I'm like, well, what did I do? Now, racism has always existed. It's not like it's new phenomena, and it's not new in nursing. But the thing is, growing up, I really didn't experience a whole lot of racism growing up because I lived near a military town. But when it comes to things like this and dealing with elderly women, it was an elderly white woman. I've never had anybody tell me directly to my face, I don't like you because you're Black, and I won't take your care. I won't allow you to take care of me because you're Black. So I'm like, well, what do you do in that situation? And unfortunately for her, I was the only nurse. So there was no other one to switch out with, so to speak. So what I ended up telling her was, well, good luck with that, because you are on a PCA. So when that medicine runs out of that PCA, there's nobody who can come change your PCA syringe for your pain relief. So unless you want me to document that you're refusing care because I'm Black, I will see you in the morning because I'm the only nurse here. And she said that will be fine. So I'm like, I can't believe this lady said that. So I documented exactly that. Well, guess what? Probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, because I was working nights, her PCA ran out, her morphine ran out, and she pushed that call light. Now, she knew I was the only person out there, so she said, well, my pain medication, and I'm in pain. I said, well, you know, per your request, I cannot come into your room because you do not like black people. I said, but if you would like me to come change your syringe, I'd be happy to do so, and to provide you some pain relief. And she said, you know what, are you seriously the only one out there? And I said, this is via the call light, mind you, we're going back and forth. And I said, yes, I am. And so then she said, nope, I don't want anything then. And I documented everything accordingly. Fast forward to the next shift, because I worked 2 nights in a row. It was her birthday, and they wanted to sing happy birthday to her, and they wanted me to come into the room to sing. I said, oh, no, she don't like black people, so she won't be having me in the room. So, and sure enough, she didn't. And when they found out about how she was acting, they end up discharging her. They said, well, your servant, you evidently don't need to be here because we don't condone that kind of behavior. I was happy that the, I guess, hospital backed me, I guess. But that was the reality. That was my first experience dealing with that in nursing. And I've dealt with many more, many more. And that's just the nature of nursing in terms of being black. I find that I have to prove myself, that have to be more educated. I find that people don't think I know what I know. And people think that, you know, well, you must be just a LPN. And again, any of you all who are LPNs, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, to society, they feel the best that you can be when you're black is an LPN or a 2-year RN. And when they find out that I'm a registered nurse with a 4-year degree, and I have a master's degree, and now currently as a doctoral student, they're blown away by that. They don't even know how to respond by that. So that's just the reality of nursing for me, that I've just learned that I'm gonna have to just, you know, kind of stay in my lane, mind my business, and not worry about anybody else. But, you know, that's kind of what I deal with when it comes to being a black woman in nursing. And I'll actually have a separate video on that, because there's stories that I could tell you about that. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to limit it to just that. Number 3, nurse bullying. Nurse bullying is very much real. And I have a video on some of the things I dealt with nurse bullying. But nurse bullying is the same as nurses eating their young. And that is a real phenomena, and people endure it and will probably continue to endure it. So any new nurses out there, this is something that is alive and well, and it's been going on probably since the inception of nursing, since Nightingale, and it will continue to go on unless we put a stop to this. So nurse bullying is something that I'm like, I can't believe we as adults are treating other adults like this. And I think that took me by surprise my first year of nursing, that I really thought that nurses would be on a team and really care for one another and treat each other well, and just basically, what's the word, be supportive. Just be supportive, and realize, even though I may not care for you personally, we have to work together as a team to take care of our patients. But that doesn't happen. So nurse bullying is a big one that I've learned to be true. Number 4, this one I learned very, very early on in nursing, realizing that healthcare is a business first. Let me tell you, when I realized that, I saw nursing and healthcare totally from a different lens, so to speak. In case you all did not know, healthcare is business first and healthcare last. As you know, people with money will be taken care of. People without money either will not be taken care of, or they will get the bare minimum, if anything. It is crazy the things that I see that people go through who are uninsured or underinsured to try to get even basic care. They can't get blood pressure medications because they can't afford them, because they can't get to a physician. But yet you're wondering why we have to treat this heart attack. Well, if you could have did preventative care for free or low or no cost, then maybe we wouldn't have the problems that we have in healthcare to begin with. But again, healthcare is a business first and healthcare last. And I probably learned that probably second year of nursing. I really was appalled and really like, oh my gosh, I did not know this. Number 5, realizing that some doctors do not really care about their patients. I was in disbelief about that. And maybe I was just naive or just ignorant or just, I don't know what I was. Mind you, I was 26, 27, 28 around that time. So I couldn't believe at that time. Now it's just like, you know, it is what it is. I think that's just kind of what people are anyway. People care, some people don't care. But I remember a physician saying, now mind you, I work in OB, so, you know, moms have babies and things like that. So we have physicians, or we had physicians, this is past tense now, who, here's the situation. So when you get ready to have a baby, you go into labor. And when you go into labor, you are going to have a baby typically vaginally. That's how the baby's supposed to come out. However, there are certain situations that require you to have a C-section, meaning they're going to cut you a lower transverse incision in your lower abdomen to get the baby out. And there are certain situations in which that will be necessary. However, majority of the time, most women can deliver their babies, majority of the time, vaginally. I have seen physicians who will say if they have not delivered by, let's say, 4 o'clock today, because they got somewhere they got to be, they're going to do a C-section. Not because it's medically necessary, because it is necessary for them to be where they want to be and they don't have time to wait. That is a true story. That happens all over the world. But that is the reality of my area of nursing. So sometimes they don't care. They just don't care. And then the flip side of that, we have people who, I have moms who are drug addicts, and they are on a plan. They go to a pain clinic where they get certain medications like methadone, Suboxone, or Subutex. And that's supposed to be a medication that they can take to help wean them off of whatever they were addicted to. And you're not supposed to give those kind of patients narcotic pain medication when they're in the hospital, because why? Because that's the whole thing they're trying to fight against. They're trying to wean themselves off of that. We have doctors who will go ahead and give them Lortabs and all kinds of other medication, knowing they have an addiction to these medications, knowing they're going to the pain clinic for these medications, knowing if they come up positive for these medications when they go back to the pain clinic, they will be kicked out the pain clinic, and knowing that we are contributing to the issues we had with our opioid crisis in this situation. They don't care. They just want to get these people off their back. They don't want to be bothered about no pain management regimen because this is the situation that they're in. So again, all physicians do not care about their patients. Again, I said, well, not all. Most of them do, but some of them don't. So this is not a generalization to say all physicians. I'm saying some do not care about their patients, and some are here just to get a check. That is it. That's the same is true for nurses as well. You know, nurses are here just to get a check too sometimes. So that's that. Number 6 is we as nurses are getting more and more work with no extra money. Do you realize that when I go to work, I spend more time charting, cleaning, going through charts. What else do we do? Cleaning. I mean, we clean a lot for some reason. Then I do taking care of patients. I spend more time away from my patients than I do with my patients. It may take me 15 minutes to do one assessment, depending on what's going on with them. But it may take me 25 minutes to chart what I did. It will take me time to go pull their medications. I then, if someone comes up positive for a drug, got to call DCS and make a report. Then I have to follow up with that whole situation. It's what we do. They're adding more and more and more work to what we do as nurses, but there ain't no extra money coming with that. None whatsoever. Now we have to be kind of case management, and we have to kind of oversee things with this. Then we have to, you know, call, you know, physicians' offices and inquire about this, that, and the other. What happened to their labs? Did they do this? Did they do that? We're calling physicians all the time. We get more and more work without more and more pay. And when you do get a raise, it does not really compete or keep up with the cost of living. So you find yourself kind of getting tired of having to do more work, but nothing else comes with it. Number 7, I realized that nursing, especially in a hospital setting, is not family friendly. So you think when you come into nursing school or at a nursing school that, you know what, it's going to be cool because I'm going to work 3 shifts, 3 12-hour shifts, and then I'm going to be off for 4 days a week. So that means I only work 12 days a month, and I'm off the rest of the month unless you have call or something else that you have to do. That's great. It sounded great. It really did sound great back when we were in nursing school. But the reality is there's call that has to be taken for a lot of the units that you work on. If you're a new nurse, sometimes you have to start off working at night. You're not working day shift. If you have to work a designated amount of weekends, so there's some nurses who have to work literally every other weekend. And if you are a new nurse or you are a nurse with a young family, finding childcare for 12 plus hours a day on the weekends and holidays, night shift, is almost impossible unless you have family close by. You don't realize how many people have to call in, nurses have to call in because they don't have childcare because of a certain issue, or have to call in because their child is sick. And you know, young children tend to stay sick. It is not family friendly. I recall personally on Halloween being a big deal. So Halloween, you wouldn't think that's a big deal in a hospital. You would think Christmas and things like that. Believe it or not, Halloween is a huge deal in our facility, on our unit. In every hospital I've worked at, Halloween was a big deal. And it's because of the fact that we all have children, or a lot of us have children, and we want to be off to take our children trick-or-treating or whatever we're going to do that night. And the reality is, if you're working night shift, well, you had to be at work at 6:45, so you can't do it because you're traveling to work. And if you're working day shift, you don't get off till 6:45 or 7 o'clock or 7:30 at night, so you can't do it. And so you're wanting to take off on that day, but guess what? The people who have 15, 16, 20-year-old kids, they won't work for you. No, they're not going to work for you. That's your problem. This is what comes with the territory of working in a hospital. And it does. I'm not arguing against that. That does come with the territory, but it should be something that could be rotated out where you're not having to do the same holidays every single year. Or at our facility, get this, I'm PRN, so this doesn't apply to me, but at our facility, they have it where when it comes to the holidays, you have to work, let's say for instance, this year you're working Christmas Day, but you were off on Christmas Eve. Well, next year you'll work Christmas Eve, but you'll be off on Christmas Day. Okay, well, that's great, but you can't travel. You really cannot travel anywhere because you're still working that part of that holiday season. So it needs to be where you're off for an entire holiday, an entire Christmas holiday, an entire Thanksgiving holiday, or an entire New Year's holiday, so that you can really enjoy and spend time with your family. But that's not how our facility does. Now, I am PRN, so I will typically work the Thanksgiving holiday so that my coworkers can go work or spend time with their families. So I'll work, you know, usually Black Friday is the day after, and I'll work the Wednesday before, which is a travel day, and Thanksgiving Eve is what we call it, the travel day. And that works for me because then I'm off, you know, Christmas. But either way, we typically have problems like that. I did not realize how hard it was to be able to find care for your children, or have to not find or not have care for your kids when they're sick or when things come up. Another thing, if you work in a hospital setting, schedules come out like 2 months in advance. A lot of times we can't plan, or we haven't planned for things that far in advance. So you may decide, for instance, that, you know, your child is going to have a birthday party on this day because of the fact that, you know, you have to work. Well, let's say you request off, but they say, no, you can't take off. They don't grant you your day off. Well, your only option is to find somebody to work for you, which sometimes it's hard to do when you're short staffed because there's nobody to offer it to. Or you have to call in, which you don't want to do that either because you need your job and you want to save your call-in days for when you really, really, really need to call in. So what do you do in that situation? That's a big issue. You can't plan. You can't say, hey, I want to take this family vacation. And of course, people don't come up with things till like a month before, but your schedule's already done. And I have this issue to this day regarding my scheduling and things like that. Being a doctoral student makes it very hard because they will plan and give our calendars, and I've had to go tell my instructors, hey, can you tell me the dates that we have to be in class, like physically on campus, because I have to work and my calendar's already put out for so many months in advance. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't. So guess who has to call in? It has to be me. So, because I'm going to class. So it's very, very hard to be, you know, work as a nurse, especially in a hospital setting, when the rest of the world don't understand that your schedule has been out for months. So for instance, we are now in January, but our schedule's already done through the end of March. That's how far in advance it is. So if anything comes up between now and March and I'm already scheduled to work, there's nothing I can do about it, you know, unless I find somebody to work for me. Number 8 is the disrespect from doctors. I really didn't realize in nursing school that we would get so much disrespect from doctors. Like there is truly like a power or ego trip or struggle or something where they think that they are better than. And what I've had to come to realize after getting cursed out and hung up on, and people and doctors who you'll say good morning to them and they will just keep walking as if they never heard you. They won't make eye contact with you or anything. What I've learned is I will not be treated as if I am scum. You will respect me for the role that I have. And I really try to empower my nursing students by saying, you know what? I'm here to learn. If I've made a mistake, I will own my mistake, but you will not talk to me any kind of way and think we gonna be leaving it like that, or me to run off somewhere and start crying. That is not happening. Now, I had my first year where I did all that, crying and carrying on and going in the corners and just, you know, sobbing and just couldn't get it together at all. Well, just like a bad relationship, I'm done crying. I've been done crying for about 12, 13 years now. I rarely cry at all when it comes to working. It has to be pretty terrible for that to happen. And I definitely don't tolerate disrespect anymore from a physician just because he or she is someone who has more education than I do in their area of medicine. Keep this in mind. Doctors have a scope of practice. Nurses have a scope of practice. We learn differently. What we focus on is differently. We have 2 different roles. So therefore, you will respect me for my role, and I will respect you for your role. But you will not disrespect me. And I've learned that, you know, very, very time and true, that you won't disrespect me and we are not going to have this nonsense go on. And not just from doctors, but from nurse management, from other nurses and things like that. I won't be disrespected. I don't tolerate it. I won't disrespect you either. But you know, if you take me there, then that's where we're gonna go. But I don't tolerate disrespect from anyone, not even my patients. So that's something I'm still dealing with, or I take that back. I don't deal with that as much anymore. Partially because I work in a facility that I've been there for 12 years now. So they already know. And when we have had issues, and we've had issues recently, where this physician wanted to get kind of ugly about a certain situation, and I was following protocol and he did not know it was the protocol, but he wanted to take that out on me. And so I'm like, no, I'm not the one that you want to talk to like that. You need to, I'm going to go ahead and get you in contact with the manager so she can explain all that to you, but I'm not the one. And so he has his way of apologizing. He never says he's sorry, but his way of apologizing basically is he'll come and, you know, tell you in a lighter mood, you know, a story about something and be laughing and giggling about that. But that's his way of saying sorry. So it is what it is. But, you know, he knew that he was wrong in that situation. But I don't tolerate disrespect. Moving on. Number 9. Nurse cliques. I did not realize how cliquish nurses can be. You really have to figure out where you fit in. You really have to figure that out. And what I mean by that is, think about it. So have you ever been somewhere where, you know, like high school, where you didn't fit in with that clique? You know, they were maybe all higher class. They had more money than you. They all looked a certain kind of way and you didn't fit in. Well, I've been through that in my nursing career. And so I think it's very important for you, for your sake, to find somewhere where you fit in. And I'm not saying you need to change to be with anybody. I'm just saying find a place where people accept you for who you are, what you look like, and, you know, just kind of where you are in life. But I didn't realize how cliquish it was. And I should have, in hindsight's 2020, in nursing school, it was very cliquish. I realized now, way back then, that in nursing school, yeah, those students were pretty cliquish. We all formed our own little groups and we stuck to that. So I don't know why I thought that nursing would be any different. I don't know. But that that has been an issue for me. Not so much now, but at the very beginning, for the first, I want to say 3 years, really trying to figure out where I fit in at and where I would be a good match for my peers. And even to this day, I've come to realize sometimes it's not about you fitting in. It's about you getting your experience where you need to go, where you need to get it, and then moving on to another experience so you can learn from that. So it's not about fitting in at all. It's about just learning and moving on. And that's kind of where I am right now. I have no problems with the people I work with, but it's just that, you know, I'm in a different space right now, mentally and physically. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to focus on me. And so I'm not really concerned about cliques and things like that. I could care less if they like me. I'm here to do a job, and then I'm going home. And so once you get past that hump of being a nurse where you're not trying to worry about will all the nurses like you or not, I could care less. Because guess what? I don't like everybody, so I don't expect everybody to like me. I'm not for everyone, and everyone is not for me, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Number 10. This is what I'm currently going through right now. So I say this for number 10, and it is, as you advance in nursing and you begin to realize that your so-called friends or not coworkers, but your so-called friends or acquaintances were just that, so-called. They hate to see you advance. They hate to see you do better when they are doing nothing. I don't say nothing. They are at a point in this journey where they're okay where they're at. They're okay where they are. They just finished school, or maybe they are working on having a family, or they're working on just life, I guess. I don't know. But they don't like when you move on. So here's an example. It's a general example, but I have met a lot of nurses that I work with who when I started that job in 2006 at this hospital, a lot of us had associates and bachelor degrees, and that was cool because we was kind of all in the same boat. Okay. Well, while I was there at that facility, I obtained my master's degree, and people would say things like, well, why you need to get that, you know, or even still, why you got a master's degree and you still a staff nurse? Well, I'm going to be whatever kind of nurse I want to be. Don't worry about it. But they get kind of bent up out of shape, or they'll say something like, oh, well, you know, they'll ask me about my school and like, oh, are you going to school? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to school to do this, that, and the other. Oh, well, tell me about the program. Tell me this, that, and the other. I tell them about the program. Well, I'm happy with my associate's degree. I ain't even trying to go back to school. Well, ain't nobody asked you. You asked me. That's how you know right there that they salty about that situation, because they are up here asking you about your future plans. But then when you go to tell them, then they want to come back and say what they happy about with their life and they career and their education. Nobody asked you. You was asking me about how I feel, or how I'm doing this, or what am I doing, or about my program. So you will see that a lot. And now that I'm in my doctoral journey and I'm 17 months to the end, when I tell you I go to work and they try to give me the hardest patient assignments, I mean, they'll give me like, I don't even want to talk about it. They give me the hardest patient assignments. They halfway don't want to talk to me. They'll say something like, oh, well, how's school going? I'm like, oh, you know, it's kind of rough. Oh, well, you know, that's kind of how school is. That's what you signed up for. I'm like, yeah, I know. A doctoral program is meant to be hard. It is what it is. So, you know, you will just find that some of the people that you used to hang out with and, you know, talk to and chat with and just have fun with and work with even, you know, kind of move away from you. They're kind of like, you know, they ain't feeling you no more because of the fact that you are advancing. You are wanting to get higher education. You may want to move into management. That's not me personally, but I've seen nurses who had to pull away from people because they're moving into management, because they're moving into just basically a higher position, and they have to leave those people behind in the positions in which that they were accustomed to being around. So again, that's currently my challenge right now. I really don't consider it a challenge as much anymore because I've just kind of learned that this is kind of how life is, and my circle needs to move with me or you get left behind. And that's just kind of where they are. So if you're not going to be able to move with me, you're not moving up yourself, you're not advancing yourself, then, you know, I'm just going to have to say hey from afar and just keep it moving like that. I'm going to stay in my lane where there's no traffic, and then we're going to be okay. So that wraps up my 10 challenges that I've endured, or, you know, again, that's part of the 10 challenges. That is the 10 challenges, but I've endured much more than that in nursing. But I just kind of wanted to come and enlighten you about some of the things that I had to deal with as a registered nurse for the past 14 years. And many of these things I have come to terms with, but a lot of these things, such as looking young and being Black and going to school, cliques and things like that, that's a continuous thing that continues to go on, you know, throughout my career. I don't know when I'll look old enough to be a nurse. I don't know when my skin color, well, my skin color will never change, but I don't know when my skin color will be accepted by patients or by other nurses or by physicians. That is not my problem. That is their problem. So I've come to terms with a few things and just kind of realized that, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to keep it moving, and I'm going to change my circle to be people who are like-minded, like-spirited, and the same energy that I have that wants to do what I want to do in life and be gold diggers just like I am myself. So again, this has been great. I really appreciate you all listening to this video. If you are new to my channel, if you're new to the Nurse Lounge, then welcome to the Nurse Lounge. I want you to hit that subscription button and hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. If you are someone who just coming back because you want to see what else she's talking about, what's she talking about now? Thank you for coming back. I have a whole world of experience, not world, but worth of experience. 14 plus years of experience of being a registered nurse. And I can tell you my journey and will tell you my journey from now on. I have plenty of advice to give. And then again, if you happen to like fashion or beauty, guess what? We got that too. So those are other videos that, you know, you will see in my playlist. But definitely come back. And thank you so much for your time. Until the next time, you all take care and bye-bye.